Good morning and welcome to First UU. My name is Laura and I'm a woman in my 70s. I use she, her pronouns well into my 70s, wearing blue shirt and white sweater today. Let us begin by acknowledging that we are gathered at the traditional territory of the Neokanska people, known sometimes by the name Osage. The descendants of the people who were forcibly removed from this land by colonists make up the Osage Nation. We acknowledge their continued struggle for justice. The chalice lighter in the sanctuary is Betty, and our chalice lighting words come to us from Sherry Woodbury. And my co-conspirator, I don't see, ha ha ha. You want to volunteer? It was supposed to be someone. Well, this is a two-person thing, okay. But it's supposed to be people from different generations and very different, and we are not, I'm afraid.
Different heights?
Yes, different heights. Well, and you can, yeah, you can go ahead. Welcome all who seek renewal in a weary world.
Welcome all who come with love and energy to share.
Welcome to those who worry for the future.
Welcome each one who is grateful for today.
Know that in this place, you are not alone.
In community, we share our strength with one another and we keep the flame of love burning bright.
Know that in this place, responsibility is shared.
Here, tradition holds us. Ancestors shine a light from the past.
Here, the young lift their bright faces and beckon us onward.
Take my hand, and we can go on together.
In these last several weeks, we've talked a lot about transformation. As we shift our focus from the gifts of transformation to the gifts of interdependence, we are invited to listen to The Breath of Life is Not Mine Alone by Kristen L. Harper. I do not wish to breathe another breath if it is not shared with others. The breath of life is not mine alone. I brought myself to be with you, hoping that by inhaling the compassion, the courage, the hope found here, I can exhale the fear, the selfishness, the separateness I keep so close to my skin. I cannot live another moment, at least not one of joy, unless you and I find our oneness somewhere among each other, somewhere between the noise, somewhere within the silence of the next breath. In our whole worship services, we'll be taking one song or hymn and leaning into learning it as a community over a month. This helps the whole community, not just the choir, become immersed in and learn the music. For April, we'll be learning the song For All That Is Our Life. It's number 128 in the gray hymnal, and I invite you now to rise in body or spirit to sing.
just and long. We come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Hello, friends. My name is AJ Fox. I use she and they pronouns. I am wearing like a dark blue kind of lacy dress today and Converse because, you know, balance in all things. And right now I'm going to share the mantra for the month of April. The whole worship 10 o'clock service uses the mantra as kind of closing sending words at the end of each service all month long. This is also part of the Soulful Home program. So the Soulful Home Pack is the like parenting and caregiving support group and package. And so this is the mantra that goes home to all of the young families for the entire month. And those mantra cards are over on the wipe-off board. You're welcome to take one and take it home with you. We have lots more. So that's the context for the mantra. April's mantra is, all of us need all of us to make it. You may go downstairs or you can go sit with Veronica. I need you to go that way. Thank you. There are a few, no, you gotta go. There are a few phrases that get right to the heart of UU theology. And this phrase, the mantra, all of us need all of us to make it, is one of them. Its author is Reverend Julia Jamaica Soto. This mantra is a gift. You can use this phrase when you find yourself stuck in us versus them thinking, or when you find yourself seeking out individuals who think or look or sound or act like you. Use it also when you're seeing more scarcity than abundance, when it seems like there's just not enough, fill in the blank. Love, land, trust, sense, security to go around. All of us need all of us to make it. You can use this mantra when the news of the day feels raw and overwhelming, when policy and strategy and election cycle and law and injustice seem to be versions of the same threatening disconnection. You can use it when you feel separate from the life force that animates each tiny plant, animal, and fungus around you, when you're not sure what you're doing here or why. You can use it when you're reluctant to ask for help, when your conditioning against burdening another with your needs prevents you from reaching out, though connection and care is exactly what you require. All of us need all of us to make it. And finally, you can share this sentiment. You can tell it to anyone who will listen this month. It's core to our theme of interdependence and to our interdependence. Thank you, friends. Now we get Reverend Michelle in the pulpit, and I remind all of us, maybe maybe gently threaten a couple of us, that there is a wiggle room downstairs that has audio and video of the service upstairs. There's also a chanting room just out here if you need a different space during any of this. Thank you so much, friends.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Michelle Scott-Huffman. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the minister here at First UU and happy to see all of you today. I am a middle-aged woman with usually pale skin and dark circles around my eyes, as my mother points out regularly. With short, spiky dark hair and wearing gray today, gray plaid shirt and gray pants. Excited to be talking about interdependence this month. When I was a seminary student and encountered readings about interdependence, I became so aware of our kind of bent toward independence. It is sort of the foundation of who we are, this kind of rugged independence. And so I made a commitment at that time to every year when I spoke on the day closest to Independence Day that I would buck the system and speak about interdependence. But I'm thankful for the folks who put together the Soul Matters curriculum and the people who had the wisdom to put interdependence in our principles and our values, that now we get to talk about interdependence for an entire month. It's very exciting. In his book, Attuned, Practicing Interdependence to Heal Our Trauma and Our World, Thomas Hübl writes, "Consider these things. The impossibly delicate watermeal, a flowering aquatic plant smaller than a grain of rice, is rootless and free-floating. Yet it can locate and connect with just one or even thousands of its own kind, as well as with tiny plants of other species, to form life-sustaining mats across the surface of a placid duck pond. And this, the simple, humble mushroom, which sends its delicate fibers, mycelium, deep into the ground in a widely arcing radius. By casting a net from these tiny probing filaments, the fungus links itself to the roots of nearby plants, trees, and other fungi, and in the process connects each to the others. This organic internet produces a symbiotic mechanism for communication, water location, nutrient exchange, and mutual defense against infection, infestation, and disease. If a life form the size of a pinhead, the watermeal, or one seemingly as simple as a mushroom, can reach out to other species to do any or all of these things, self-organize, connect, communicate, assist, protect, defend, heal, and restore, why couldn't humans? After all, we too belong to nature. Perhaps each of these qualities and many more are imbued in us, inbuilt characteristics of what it means to be alive on this particular planet, orbiting this particular star in this particular galaxy. Perhaps intelligent interdependence is our natural, even sacred endowment, one we can lean into, enhance, and strengthen in service of our own species and all others. He suggests that by attending quite intentionally to our intelligent interconnectedness, we may awaken to and further develop our most intrinsic biological gifts, the powers to self-organize, connect, communicate, assist, protect, defend, heal, and restore. In Unitarian Universalism, for several decades, we have communicated the ways that we want to be in relationship with one another and with the world in which we live through our 7 principles. At the beginning of those principles, Article 2 of the UUA bylaws say that we covenant to affirm and promote the 7 principles. The particular principle of interest to us this month is respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Because Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition and is committed to continually reassessing our language and actions in light of new learnings and awareness of where we are in the world, the documents that contain the principles has undergone a revision over the last few years, resulting in the rewording of our commitments to one another as a set of values that revolve around and emanate from a central core, which is love. In the new Article 2 language, the undeniable interdependent web of all existence invites us to think more deeply about what we mean by that phrase and who it calls us to be and become in the world. New language of interdependence says we honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. It seems that by expanding what was before just a single sentence to those sort of expansions with action words, we are now called to walk our talk in a different way. Much of our conversation about interdependence this month will relate specifically to our interdependence with the earth and the natural world. And while last month I encouraged us to start with a broad view and move inward toward our own experience in an effort to decenter our own limited experience, this month I want to start with us and move outward. Because I think that this value of interdependence is key to the transformation that we can help bring about in our world. To get there, though, it's clear that we have to do some personal work. There's an organizing principle that says the first revolution is internal. In an internal revolution, we engage our moral selves, confront our own participation in systems and structures that imbue higher human status on some while denying the full humanity of others. We acknowledge our individual and collective accountability for the social constructs that we have built. And we acknowledge our need for intentional internal and external work. This is what separates interdependence, a truth that simply is, from intelligent interdependence, which requires something of us. As I was saying earlier, the format of our principles call us to affirm and promote the ideas therein, but the newly stated values add a layer of action, making it harder to claim some moral and ethical high ground verbally while acting in a way that suggests otherwise. In reality, we all live in this space of dissonance. It is perhaps a fundamental human struggle, trying to figure out how to meet our own needs and fulfill our own desires without harming others, whether those others be human, nature, or other creatures. I know that you're thinking right now, no, I don't struggle with that. I give you Exhibit A. In addition to the seriousness of the language of honoring and acknowledging our interdependence, the added text calls us to close the gap on that dissonance with specific action words. We will never fully close the gap. We will always be a people becoming who we aspire to be with the values that we hold so dear, acting as closely as we can into those values and recognizing that we will never quite make it. And when that is true, it helps us to see the ways that other people never quite make it, but that they might be trying in ways that we don't quite understand. And so our interdependence, our relationship with others in that way, depends on our acknowledgement of the ways that just as humans we continually fall short. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We covenant. We agree together that this is who we want to be in the world, that we want to be people who protect the earth and all beings from exploitation. There is no shortage of exploitation in the world in which we live, and we could choose on any given day to try and address some piece of it. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. And we will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. And so the invitation today as we head into this month of focus on interdependence is in those last two sentences. They're really even pacts, deals that we're making with one another in this place, but deals that we're making with all the people out there, and deals that we're making with all the beings of the earth around us. When we say we will, we're making a deal, we're making a pact, and it is on us to keep that deal. So we're invited to ask ourselves some questions. What are the relationships in our lives that lack care, respect, mutuality, and justice? What is the internal shift that we need to make to bring our part of those relationships into proper alignment? And how do we begin to take responsibility for our part of relationships when we know that someone on the other side of that deal is not doing their part? Yet it is ours to be transformed in ourselves and to try and transform the world around us. How do we begin to repair harm? Perhaps we must begin with an acknowledgement that harm exists, about which we are unaware, unclear, or unconvinced. And I want to let that sit for a moment. There is harm that people have told us about that we're unaware, yes. And when we learn something about what has happened to someone, we know better and we can do better. Sometimes we're unclear about the details and we don't quite understand how systems impact certain people who have lived experiences that are different from us, and we can lean into that unknowing and try and learn and do better. But the part about being unconvinced is a part that I think we need to sit with. Because people tell us how they've been harmed in this world, and we say to them, no, that's not what I meant. Or you took that wrong, or you're just being too sensitive, or any litany of things that we say to dismiss the harm that someone has told us about. And so a part of that internal revolution is to begin to believe people when they tell us their stories, because we are interdependent on one another, and we would want them to believe us when we tell our stories. And in this, we can take a first step in learning about the harm and exploring our participation in it. And then do the internal work to extract ourselves from the systems that continually cause harm. If it is true, as Thomas Hübl says, that our most intrinsic biological gifts include the powers to self-organize, connect, communicate, assist, protect, defend, heal, and restore, then we have a great deal of power to step into during our time of internal reflection. How might we use those powers, even now, to acknowledge and live into our interdependence in a way that decreases our negative impacts on the rest of the web and increases the possibilities of our connectedness? Hübl writes, like the most refined alchemical distillate or some primary source code, the architecture of true human connection somehow includes yet transcends the personal. Interdependence is at once deeply intimate and utterly universal. And so it is that somehow when we do our work internally, the world around and about us begins to shift. Pure moments, he writes, of relating reach us at the root, touching who we really are, while simultaneously elevating what is possible for us to become. We continue to find ourselves living in a world where unchecked greed and hunger for power and control result in unspeakable violence, where fear and judgment of the other causes deeper and deeper division, and where our need to be right gathers us into smaller and smaller ideological silos that chip away at the beauty of our interdependence. Friends, this month is an invitation. May we use this intentional time of exploration this month to find balance and restoration, not in spite of, but because of our interdependence with all beings and all things. Richard Blanco closes his poem, Declaration of Interdependence, with these words: "We hold these truths to be self-evident. We're the cure for hatred caused by despair. We're the good morning of a bus driver who remembers our name, the tattooed man who gives up his seat on the subway. We're every door held open with a smile when we look into each other's eyes, the way we behold the moon. We're the moon. We're the promise of one people, one breath, declaring to one another, I see you, I need you, I am you." Blessed be, and amen.